Okay, it is 9:02 on March 17th, Monday, March 17th, and I'm here. Mr. Hilarious is not here, and I want to address a lot of things relating to him. Hopefully, give him some advice on how he could be more effective within the helping the community shtick, and also provide a bunch of information on the truth about the canine, and also talk about some of the other issues that Mr. Scales brought up, which is the baby boxes, Ken Geis, the animal shelter, as well as the canine. So I want to start out with how did this all start? Last Friday, Mr. Scales, or as I call him, Captain Underpants, he did a thing arguing with the Batavia building. And I'm going to show that. I want to show that first. I'm going to play the whole thing. I thought about cutting it, just part of it. I want to play the whole thing. So you see, this is what he represented. He's a newsman, according to him, trusted news source. So I'm going to play that first. I'm going to play his first of his parts of his first rant against me of about 40 minutes of rants over the weekend. Then we're going to dig in and we're going to talk about the facts, and we'll talk about the animal shelter, and we'll talk about the canine, all that kind of stuff. But let's start with his rant in front of the Batavia building.
What is going on? It is Hood News 75. We are in Batavia, Ohio, in front of the Village of Batavia building. And I got some shit to say. And if you don't like my cursing, hey, hop off for a little bit because shit about to get real. They have an amazing officer that's been with them for 14 years at the Village of Batavia, named Officer Whitaker. He is a canine handler that has had his dog for 4 years. Mind you, there was somebody else that had the dog that moved up and, had more opportunities that had the dog for a previous 4 years, right? The Village of Batavia comes to Officer Whitaker like, hey, we want to give you a raise for 50 cents if you stay with us. Mr. Whitaker was like, hey, I think there's better opportunities.
Now, that's a lie. Whitaker came to them with that he had been offered a significant raise to go to Goshen Police. So what he just said was a lie. He came and said, hey, I got a better offer. And Whitaker negotiated that if they would promote him to corporal and give him a $1 raise, that he would stay at Batavia Village. That's how that went down. Not they came to him, whatever the hell he's talking about. It's just bullshit. So Whitaker got a better offer from Goshen. He negotiated that if they would give him a $1 an hour raise at Batavia, that he would stay in Batavia. That's the truth. He ended up reneging on that. You're going to hear or talk about the 50 cents. What's the 50 cents? Because he got promoted to corporal, which is what he wanted and what he negotiated, he had to wait for 6 months. You only get paid half of your raise during a promotion. So let's pick
opportunities for me and my dog. I'm a decline this officer. Imagine he's been with them for 14 years. And they said, oh, okay, since you want to do that, we're going to take your dog that we didn't pay for. We're going to take the dog's cage. We're going to donate the dog's food. We're going to take the money for vet fees and etc. for the dog. And you can have a good time. And then they put it on Batavia's page that they're hiring for a K9 officer because the officer that has been with them forever needed more money to provide.
So now, bullshit, the officer that was with them forever had an offer from another department that was significantly higher than the $1 an hour increase that he said he wanted at Batavia for being a corporal. So all this bullshit, all this colloquial, oh, he had to feed his family, all that kind of stuff. He ended up going to the other department. But if he needed to feed his family, why did he then negotiate $1 an hour raise? The guy wanted a promotion. This is all just, what happens when some guy thinks he's the news, doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and goes out arguing with a building and ultimately loses in
family or whatever reasons. So y'all try to take his job away from him or whatever reason or whatever y'all trying to do with them, and y'all trying to take his dog, knowing that that would do so much emotional damage to that dog trying to find a new handler. But y'all won't put y'all pride to the fucking side and be like, hey, you know what? The best of luck. You've been with us. You've done everything you can. Y'all have worked tirelessly here. These officers are overworked and not paid enough.
So this guy also doesn't appear to know that there's been a big scandal in this police department. Mr. Scales or Captain Underwear, that not all cops are good cops, and bad cops degrade the whole profession. One of those bad cops is Jim Young, who probably your source for the nonsense you're spouting. They love him, and we'll talk about that for a second. Jim Young is a pervert. He's a tit man. He would go around the community basically harassing women and talking about women's breasts to other cops, including talking about cops' breasts to other cops. That's just what the cop was there. Batavia Village Police Department, I think, is in a rebuilding now. They've gotten rid of, I don't really know, but I know that Jim Young was not a good cop. So he's talking about all this tireless work. And, it's just nonsense. He doesn't know anything about this department. I don't think he's ever been involved with real issues in the department, like the leadership of the department, some of the behaviors going on in the department, some of the misogynistic things. I don't know if Captain Underwear here, he's okay with people harassing women that are in uniform. That's okay with him, I guess. I don't know. But he clearly doesn't know what he's
Instead of being
about.
like, hey, you know what? Hey, congratulations. We'll see you. We hope you have a bright future. They're like, nah, we taking everything from you. Fuck you. And you can't speak about it. But
So this is also untrue because they actually negotiated a deal with him for the dog that he signed. He signed a deal for the dog. So the notion of they took it away from him, it's bullshit. This guy is a news
we can't.
joke.
The community can't. I motherfucking will. I'm going to stand up for my first responders, my law enforcement every time. If they can't say nothing,
He'll stand up for bad cops every time. I don't stand up for bad cops. I stand up for good cops, and I'm for making sure we have good, high quality.
I'm not going to speak on it. I'm going to speak on it. Village of Batavia, fuck y'all. The officers here and the officers all around these areas, y'all do absolutely an amazing job, and I appreciate y'all so much. But this is unacceptable. To take the dog food away and the vet fees and all that for them, this man, and he been with y'all for 14 years? Fuck y'all.
So there you go. He flips off the building. What a powerhouse news reporter this guy is. So when I saw this, somebody had actually texted it to me. I'm aware of this guy existing, but I don't follow him. I'm like people who are adults and have jobs. It's I'm aware of him. I thought he just did stupid, funny stuff or things some people think is funny. So somebody tells me about it. I go check it out. I'm like, this guy's full of shit. I could tell he was full of shit right from the beginning. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk about all the ways that this story that he spouted was full of shit and how ultimately he lost an argument to a building. But he doesn't seem to want to ever engage people. He doesn't seem to want to. He wants me to come on a live stream with him, but then he won't come on a live stream. He wants to discuss baby boxes, but then he won't discuss baby boxes. I think about the best he can do is arguing with a building. I'm willing to be convinced otherwise. He can man up and sack up and actually do the things that he demands. He wants to come on a stream. Let's do a stream together. You want to debate baby boxes? Let's debate baby boxes. I'm going to, at the end, talk about how I think this guy could be a much more positive impact for the community than just stupid videos of him dancing in his underwear to entertain people. So the second thing that I want to do is, so over the weekend, he had at least 3 rants. He had a rant. He deletes all this stuff like this, probably because he'll get, he's worried about, I don't know what I think he just embarrasses himself, so he deletes them. But he had a rant on Saturday in a 50-minute thing, and somebody called me about it. And I ran up to my office and I set the thing to download it, and then he deleted it. So he's a little surprised on how I had it, I guess. But he does an 8-minute rant on me on Saturday. Then on Sunday, he does a 10-minute rant. I'm out working in the yard. I got, hey, this guy's going nuts on you and wants you to come on some stream. I came back in the house, had to clean up. I'm all dirty working in the yard. Then later, like a little bit later, he's doing a 30, 40-minute rant about me. So he's just fucking melting down. But he won't address, and we'll come back to it, the legitimate issues with his news reporting when he's arguing with a building in the streets in Batavia without having done apparently any fact checking on what the hell he's talking about and presenting a very misleading and false narrative. So then let's see what happens next. I'm only going to just play from this first rant because I'm sure a lot of it I don't have because he deletes everything. But in the first rant he did, I guess he did 4 things because he also did like a 1.5-minute thing he posted for a while, daring me to come on some stream with him, but then he won't come on a stream. Okay, so let's go to his first rant. This is from Saturday when he had an 8-minute rant in the middle of his newscast, I guess it is. So let's.
I don't want to mention this weirdo's name. This older guy, and I don't even.
The first part's just ripping on me.
He's weird, but this one guy has been in Claremont.
I organized, let me go back here. I reorganized this. I didn't take it, it's not some malicious editing, but he kind of jumps around like he can't keep a good train of thought. So I put all the things together. The first module of this is just him ripping on me. I'm an old guy. I'm 60, 70. I'm no good. Nobody likes me, all this kind of stuff. This is the kind of guy this is. Okay. He doesn't know me from fucking Adam. Okay. I dared to point out that he was wrong about a bunch of stuff he said. And instead of being a mature, respectful man, since he likes to throw out that respectful thing, and even come back saying, hey, I want to learn more. I want to make sure I got it right. He just goes into this all weekend crazy meltdown. But the first module is him just ripping
but I don't
on
want
me.
to mention this weirdo's name. This older guy, and I don't even like talking about because he's weird. But this one guy has been in Claremont for 20 plus years, hating on law enforcement, hating on the baby drop-off boxes, just hating on everything that Claremont House at offer. With that being said, just move the fuck out. If you are 60, probably 70 something years old with a Facebook page talking about nothing, like, bro, you are an old man that has no life and nothing going for yourself, like, at all. I don't know who King Geis is or whoever the fuck.
But this is this respectful man. I have nothing going for me at all. This guy is embarrassing. I mean, people from Amelia immediately called me, letting me know they want the clown show to move on. They don't need it there. They can move on.
Mentioning you sucking him off so much is fucking terrible. But
now he gets in. Maybe he's sucked dick or whatever he's done, but he goes on and on about sucking people off, sucking dick, all this kind of stuff. No wonder he deletes this crap, because it is purely crap. He purely belittles, and then he talks about respect and all this kind of stuff, treating everybody with respect. But this is what he does: his complete meltdown when somebody dares even question what he reported on in his newscasting.
Sucking this dude so hard, you literally know it's all bullshit that y'all talking about. You an old man, don't have nothing going on, don't have no motion. Your posts get 2 or 3 comments every so often, all type of bullshit. Like, go, you and your friend or whoever you got behind that you sucking off, over with. I never think in my fucking life I'll be arguing and going back and forth with a 60, 70-year-old man that don't know shit about the new Claremont County. You don't have.
By the way, I'm 59, so he doesn't know anything. He could, hey, hilarious. You can look up anybody on the voter database and you would find out their age. But I guess you don't figure that out. You just go start spouting off on shit that you don't even know what you're talking about.
No motion. You're not saying nobody don't listen to you. Nobody don't respect you. Nobody don't like you. And you trying to take up for your dick sucking friend that you've been talking to. Stay your old ass at home and mind your fucking business. As simple as that. But just know your old ass got me fucked up. Simple as that. Fuck you. If you don't like it, fuck you again. I don't give a, you know what I mean? That's how I come.
So let's respect all these people that are, I guess, his followers that then come and say, hey, you're not being respectful to Mr. Captain Underwear. Well, what the hell is he? He's a joke. I don't delete shit. He deletes shit all of the time. I don't generally block people. He blocks people all the time. He had me blocked. Okay. He blocked me. I've hardly ever been to his site. I put a few comments and he blocked me on his site. He blocks me on it was Sunday or whatever. He was wanting me to immediately be on the stream with him, immediately on the stream. He had unblocked me. I was blocked, unblocked me, then demands I be on a stream. I'm out doing yard work. This guy's a clown. He's a clown. And he can't man up. He cannot man up and talk and debate and discuss issues man to man. He's got to do this theatrics, and then switch into the Captain Underwear outfit and start posting some more shit, dancing in his underwear in a park like a clown. This is a grown-ass man. A grown-ass man that gets the facts wrong and does this kind of shit. But maybe he can be redeemed. I'm going to talk about that at the end.
And I'm not going to comment
back. The second module is about how he's not going to be responding. I'm going to back this up just a little bit here. I screwed it up a little bit. This is going to be him telling me to fuck off again. But the second part's going to be about he's not going to respond. Remember, he's not going to respond.
Fuck you. If you don't like it, fuck you again. I don't give a, you know what I mean?
Hey, fuck you too. Real classy.
And I'm not going to comment back. I told him I was going to respond one time. But this is the last time, bro. Keep my name out your mouth. I'm only going to say this on live. I'm not going to go back and forth with you in the comments. Shout out.
Okay. So he says like a bunch of times that he's not going to go back and forth. Then he spent this is on Saturday morning. And then he spends all weekend doing live streams, deleting them, commenting, doing all this kind of stuff. So I guess something's not kind of connecting. up in his brain cells there on what he's going to do. Somebody pointed out to me that I never once said, that I was not going to comment or respond to him. He said like 100 times he was not going to comment or respond. And then he's constantly commenting and responding. It's like, it's not mentally stable what he's doing. So, any event, let's keep
My boy
rolling here.
Michael.
This part is about Michael Logue, Union Township trustee. He's at the lowest level of government, township trustee. You can go research him. I encourage people go have a long conversation with Michael Logue, and you'll be disavowed of Michael Logue pretty quickly. And I see people making comments. I'll address all the comments at the end. Okay. So he's talking about Michael Logue.
That's one of the top people in Claremont County. He worked his way up. Motherfucker, the young people taking over. The Michaels, the news report, the Scales, Hood News. Like, why you think so many police officers and firefighters out here are younger?
I'll tell you why police officers and firefighters are younger. Because police officers and firefighters are younger. It's a job for younger people. Those are who are generally police officers and firefighters are young people in the prime of their lives, not old guys. Okay. So, by the way, why don't you become a police officer, Mr. Scales? If you're so into police officers, why don't you be one? Why don't you show that you can do a real job? All right. So the next module is him talking about how important he is to the press.
My word is everything. Why you fucking think 30 minutes later or 20, 30 minutes later after I made my post, the news pulled up? The news follow me. Damn near 80% of the news anchors and reporters follow my page. They know I ain't never lied about shit. They know Hood News is real news. As simple as that. That's why they watch my page. They see the stories. They pull up like they did. Because Hood News pulled up and did a story. They're like, oh shit, Scales posted it. It has to be real.
Okay. So then later I start linking news channels and then he starts all bitching at me about linking the news channels that they're not going to pay attention or whatever. But he keeps saying over and over again that all the news channels follow him. So I thought he wants them all to follow him. I mean, so he can't have it both ways, and he can't man up and actually do a live debate or a live discussion even. And so it's unfortunate. But the next little module here is him talking about baby boxes. This is him talking about baby boxes, and then I'm going to comment them right here and deal with this subject right here now.
How the fuck can you tell Claremont County they had a baby box for moms or families who going through shit who can't properly take care of their babies? No, that's a bad idea. Just like you didn't want Claremont County to have a baby box. So for moms that's suffering, that's going through mental shit or can't handle a baby, you don't want them to drop their baby off into safe care. You want them to keep it and possibly can harm the baby because you're a fucking idiot.
Okay, so let's talk about what a fucking idiot I am about baby boxes. So what is a baby box? A baby box is basically like a book return put in the side of a firehouse where somebody can theoretically put their baby in that doesn't want their baby. What he probably doesn't know is that safe haven, which is handing over a baby at a firehouse, police station, or hospital, has existed for more than 20 years. More than 20 years. And there is a company named Safe Haven Baby Boxes tried to monetize that, which used to be a hand your baby to the policeman, the fireman, or the person at the hospital, has tried to monetize that with these boxes and plays on politicians like Michael Logue, that Mr. Scales likes, to do photo ops around these baby boxes and get this family rich that makes the baby boxes. But let's be real here. Mr. Scales, if you want to talk to people that actually care about moms in tough situations, I can help hook you up, because the people that are really into the safe haven movement, which is anonymously surrendering a baby, the people that are really into it and really love women, they are totally against baby boxes. Why? Because the number one thing they preach is that women that have unplanned pregnancy get proper prenatal care, a proper medical delivery, and then do a proper handoff. They actually then try to move the women towards what is called an open adoption, which is giving up your baby but still having a record so you can connect with them or reconnect with them in the future. By the way, because there's lots of things that have happened, people dumping babies, closed adoptions, through hundreds of years, there's been a body of knowledge that works best. I don't know if Mr. Scales knows this, but adopted people and people who have given up babies that can't keep connections have a much higher suicide rate than the average population, because There's issues that come out of that. I don't think he knows that. I don't think he knows that the woman that makes the baby boxes encourages women to have babies not in a hospital, like in their car or in their dorm room, which is disgusting, and then put them in a box. I don't think he knows that in traditional safe haven, 30 to 40% of women handing over the baby actually need medical treatment from the fire department themselves right then. I don't think he cares that the design of these boxes is to exploit women who are in crisis to get their babies from them. That is what it is about. And safe haven through a box creates a special situation where there's no record for the baby and there's no rights. There's no rights. He probably doesn't also know that about 30% of women who do safe haven, traditional safe haven, come back to get their babies because they change their mind. There's generally a 30-day grace period where they can't adopt out the baby until that. Why do they come back? Because they get their heads together. They maybe talk to an aunt, an uncle, a relative, a mom, or a dad, and realize that they thought they were going to be scorned or whatever, and they realize that there's a community of love around them that can help them. So maybe Mr. Scales, instead of mouthing off about baby boxes, should know what the hell he's talking about. Maybe he should talk to me or discuss the issue and understand how can we help women with unplanned pregnancies to be able to potentially keep their babies if they want to and become good mothers and not exploit them in some trickery baby box. Do you know that the woman that makes the baby boxes, and I will move on, she actually disallows there being signage on at those baby boxes for local resources that are available to mothers. There's an Ohio statewide number to help mothers. She refuses to allow that number to be posted on the wall where her baby box is. She refuses to let it be posted on the wall that any woman that's dropping a baby out of baby box can not ring the doorbell and hand it off person to person with a firefighter, get medical treatment, and do an anonymous questionnaire about health conditions that can be passed on to the future parent. He really doesn't know any of that. It's about him. It's just, oh, we did a box. A box is good, right? You know, we need to be thinking more about how we create a situation where women aren't putting babies in boxes because they can be good moms, or they can do an open adoption or a safe haven that's done the proper way. So that's baby box. That's all I'm going to say about baby boxes right now. But he's totally full of shit on baby boxes. Apparently, he's been talking to Michael Loeb. The last segment here of his rant from Saturday is about the canine and the dog stuff in Batavia.
For a fact, that officer was done wrong. I know for a fact Batavia took his dog away or tried to. They donated the dog food. They took the vet money and all that. So it ain't nothing that I'm not lying about.
They didn't take the dog away from him. He had an agreement to purchase the dog. So nobody took the dog away from him. It's bullshit.
Nothing. Everything that I say is facts, and you're trying to battle with me and tell me, oh, you need to learn the facts. I know the facts, and I heard it from multiple people.
I wonder who those multiple people are, because none of them appear to be the people that would know the facts. And I think I know where he got his facts from, and I'll cover that.
That wasn't their dog. That wasn't their dog. That dog was donated.
Okay, so Mr. Scales, when you're helping people and you donate something to them, is it not theirs? It's somebody else's? See, that's what a joke this is. The dog is property of Batavia Village. It doesn't matter if it was donated or they bought it or what. It's their property. The dog is actually not ready to retire. All these people running around saying, well, they have to let him have it for $1. No, when a dog's being retired, they have to do that. And the statute doesn't say anything about what age that is. So the notion that somebody took it, this horrible, ripped the dog out of his arms or something like this, is complete nonsense. There was a negotiated agreement that he signed for the dog. So it's a complete lie,
It wasn't their dog. The cage that dog got and the shit that dog got, it was from that dog sniffing out. It was from drug money. That dog sniffed drugs out. They took the fucking money and they got the dog the proper necessities for him to do his job properly.
Now, that's also bullshit, okay? So the cage, now there's some confusion around the cage. It was on loan. So he's like, they got the dog all the necessities by money from drug money. That's also not true. Did he do any fact checking? Any fact checking whatsoever? I saw, I'm going to throw this up here just because one comment right now. And anybody that knows me knows this is true. I follow both these two. One thing I know for a fact is Hicks don't speak without having all the facts, okay? I appreciate that comment because I pride myself on the facts. So the fact that this guy Captain Underwear doesn't understand that that's what I'm about. He thinks I want to be, I care about like followers and shit like this. I'm the most hated Republican man in the system in Claremont County because I'm constantly holding people to account. It's not about a popularity contest for me. It's about facts. In the Facebook page that I have, that ain't my life. My life is how do I get crooked politicians out of office? How do I get campaign finance crooks prosecuted? That's what I focus on, not the shit that Mr. Scales focuses on, which is apparently wanting to become some famous YouTuber or something like that, or Facebook guy. So let's go through some of the detail of what actually happened to try to clear it up. So I already said the Whitaker guy was offered a much higher salary from another department. He negotiated with Batavia Village to stay there for $1 an hour and also get promoted to corporal. They only pay when you get promoted a rank, you only get half the salary for the first 6 months. So he's going to get 50 cents an hour for 6 months. He negotiated this deal. Nothing was forced on him. Okay. He had another offer in hand, from what I understand. And then he didn't, he negotiated this deal to stay for $1 an hour. So that was kind of the sequence of events with that. Apparently, at some point, I don't know all the details on it, but he reneged on the deal. I think he went to the other agency as well. Where does all this stuff come from, and where's it all coming from relating to Batavia? So I'm going to throw up some quick charts here. So first off, this thing called Signal 99. Signal 99 is it's like anything, might get some stuff right, might get it wrong, but it is a bunch of dirtbags that run an anonymous site. I tell you, I detest anonymous sites. Anonymous sites are how people hide their ulterior motives. And here, I mentioned earlier, Jim Young, the former chief. Jim Young was not a good cop. He had multiple issues in his career relating to sexual shit. At Batavia, there was a whole bunch of stuff. Whitaker was actually a witness against Jim Young because Jim Young made, I think, comments about Whitaker's wife's breast. Okay. He was always apparently making comments about breasts. There's video of him grabbing the waitress's hair, getting into inappropriate text conversations and connections with women in the community, on and on and on. There's a 60-page report. But this Signal 99 defends Jim Young, and they claim that, oh, well, he wasn't charged and nothing happened. Anybody knows these kind of things. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't happen. It's like moving on a pedophile priest or something. Is that what happens is these guys get what's called the AB plan. You can resign, and go quietly, or you have to go forward with this. And a lot of governments, right, wrong, or indifferent, will go ahead and go along with that kind of AB plan because they don't want to deal with any potential legal fees, the headache of it. If the person will just go, we'll look the other way. And I don't like that, actually. I think cops, bad cops, unfortunately, I'm learning some bad cops move around. And in Claremont County, it appears that a lot of them end up in Owensville. We'll come back and talk about that in just a second because they defend Jim Young. Where did Jim Young go after leaving Batavia? Well, he got hired in Owensville by the highest, theoretically, the highest ranking office law enforcement person in the entire county, Mike Freeman, who's the chief there. Guess who else is there? At a guy named Jay Manning. Jay Manning's one of the editors of Signal 99, along with a woman named Carolyn Adams that works at UC Health. This is what the research I've got so far. I'm still working it. I've contacted these people. I contacted Freeman. I have not gotten replies back from UC Health or from Freeman, but I'm going to prosecute this all the way because I hate this anonymous shit. These people are trying to protect a bad cop, and they got an axe to grind because Batavia Village got rid of bad cop Jim Young. Okay, so Batavia Village gets rid of bad cop Jim Young, and this Signal 99 is probably Captain Underwear's or Captain Underpants' source. Okay, so when I brought up that his story was all wrong, okay, there were significant gaps in his story, Signal 99 starts coming at me, okay, because the anonymous cowards behind Signal 99, they have to start, if somebody starts questioning something and exposing that maybe they gave this guy a bad or incomplete narrative, that they have to start, attacking them. So here is, by the way, the agreement the agreement that Whitaker signed for $1,500. My understanding is prior to this, there was a $2,000 agreement. So this whole notion of he was somehow abused, whatever, he signed an agreement. They negotiated an agreement. He signed it. Here it is. Okay. None of that was in Mr. Scales' rant in front of the argument with the building. None of that was in there. So just a lot of missing information relating to this. So, what does, by the way, as the news tightens on this, and I start investigating the people that are behind this Signal 99 site, what happens? They start coming after me. Okay. They start making fun of my big, beautiful nose. Okay. They even have to Photoshop it. I guess it wasn't big enough. I always thought it was big enough. But that's the maturity we're talking about here. That is the maturity. And these people on Signal 99, one of them's just a dispatcher, which means they're not a cop, but one of them's a cop. Okay. So think about this. Just think about this when the cops hassle you or hassle a member of your family. What it means if you have cops that are running secret anonymous Facebook pages that try to influence public opinion for and against stuff involving cops. These people don't, or if they did it on their own name, I'd only do shit in my own name. If they did it in their own name, it would never fly. They'd be out of a job. So they should be doubly out of a job for doing this shit secretly. It's just to hide their ulterior motives because the people involved, this Jay Manning and Jim Young, got an axe to grind with Batavia Village. So they'll find useful idiot Captain Underpants to go out and cheer on, maybe through the Signal 99, to get this done. And then the news starts to tighten on all of it. And it's just extremely unfortunate. So the people that are involved with it, as far as I've determined at this point, is the Owensville Police Department. This is their, you got to love that it says professional integrity, fairness, okay, and Facebook pages, and UC Health, where this woman, Carolyn Adams, is a dispatcher. And I like I said, I've put calls in. I contacted Mike Freeman. I've contacted UC Health. I'm waiting for feedback, but I'm not gonna. I try to be very careful with information. But none of these people have denied anything at this point in terms of what they did. And instead of addressing the issues that I'm raising, what does Signal 99 do? They mock me. Make fun of my nose, Photoshop my nose. By the way, the picture in the middle, I was wearing a Trump hat. It was a joke picture because the Trump people are garbage people thing. And this was heading out to the polls wearing a garbage bag which was a lot of fun on election day. Helping the community. So that is deals with the dog issue. I want to hit a couple other things before we wrap up here and I look at the comments. One is Ken Geis. So apparently, Mr. Scales or Captain Underpants doesn't know who the hell Ken Geis is, but that doesn't keep him from spouting off and shooting his mouth off about shit he knows nothing about. So to help, Ken Geis is probably one of the best administrators in all of Ohio government and is highly effective in modernizing places, turning them around, getting them better. Mr. Scales, you might not be aware, but there's a thing called TQL. That was Ken Geis. That's 10,000 young people jobs, bro. 10,000 young people jobs. How many jobs do you give, Mr. Scales, and all your help in the community? Whatever, give some shit out. That's good. I can't fault that. But somebody that does things that create 10,000 good jobs in Claremont County, I guess I give them a little weight too. Give them a little weight. And I probably don't go on a podcast and start yelling about that person sucking off or whatever the hell that you were talking about. There's another thing too, Mr. Scales, jungle gyms. You ever been to jungle gyms? Pretty cool, right? That's Ken Geis. Ken Geis is the one who got jungle gyms in there to revitalize that Biggs Plaza. That is a tremendous asset to help the community that you care about. So that is, Ken Geis, a little bit on Ken Geis. The other thing that then Mr. Captain Underpants, it's easier, I can remember that better. I think it's more catchy, Captain Underpants, than hilarious Scales. I don't know what the Scales part is. And some of it's hilarious, but some of it isn't. So let's get on the shelter real quick because Mr. Scales wants me to meet him at the shelter to help the community so we can clean the cages when the problem at the shelter is way deeper than dirty cages. And apparently he doesn't know that even if we wanted to clean the cages, we need to go through a volunteer training program before you do that. And he doesn't know that the inmate community at the jail does the cages. He doesn't know that there was a drug issue where the inmates were using the cleaning the cages as a way to get drugs smuggled into the. It's actually kind of brilliant that we're getting people to drop drugs in the shelter or in the shelter grounds. And then when they do the cleanup, they could try to get them back into jail. I don't know that the plan actually worked, but that was the plan and they got nabbed on it. So Mr. Captain Underpants doesn't seem to know a whole hell of a lot. He just wants to show up and pander. What I've determined is that I'm not against whatever the heck he's saying, helping the community. All for it. Go do it. But it seems like his helping the community is all about getting more likes and follows. And the things that he sent me, because he's preoccupied with this and he thinks that I'm care about this shit, that I'm trying to be some big, YouTuber or something. He cares. So he does all of this. He does all of these things, but they always involve him pandering to get more followers and more likes. I think that's what he cares about. And I don't know how much money he makes. My wife and I have a condo in Inglewood, Florida. It's in Charlotte County. It's a smaller county than Claremont County. And Danny Duncan is from there. So I looked up and read about some of these people. Danny Duncan has, I think it's 11 million Facebook followers, or maybe 8 million. 8 million on, or it's 11, maybe it's 11 million Facebook, 8 million new YouTube, 4 million TikTok. The guy makes 5 to 10 million a year off social media, and he just does what people think is funny stuff. I've watched it. I tried to understand it. I don't think it's funny. But Danny Duncan is the real deal. So maybe Mr. Captain Underpants can come down with me to Florida sometime. You see Danny Duncan every now and then around in the town, and maybe he can meet up with Danny Duncan and learn kind of what's the best ways to become the superstar YouTuber that he wants to be, or Facebooker, or whatever the hell it is. So let's talk about the shelter real quick here, because he doesn't know anything about the shelter. He doesn't know that the shelter has been effed up in Claremont County for like 10, 11 years. It's systemically a problem. They went through two humane societies. One was called Claremont to the Rescue. One was called CARES. That both got basically screwed by the county by underfunding of the animal shelter, such that they could not run the animal shelter successfully. Then the county took over the animal shelter. It's been under county control for since 2020, sometime in 2020. And David Painter thought, oh, I can do it better on the county. Now it's more effed up than ever. It is more effed up than ever. And helping the community also means not just cleaning the cages to enable people that are doing a bad job, but it means standing up, standing up. So I don't know what the hell Mr. Captain Underpants has done relating to the shelter, but I've had a live stream with the old people that ran it, with the bidder on that when they put out for the contract. I had us hosted an in-person forum on the shelter. I've done a lot of shit. I haven't cleaned any cages down at the shelter. I'm not going to do that. He can do that. I'd like to see some pictures from him showing him cleaning the cages down at the shelter. I'm more about the systemic fix we need at the shelter than some bullshit about we need to meet up some bros and we'll go clean the shelter or something like this. Not for me. You go do it. I'm all for it. Go have a good time. Okay. Here's what's wrong with the shelter, by the way. From when it was the last time it was run by a humane society, the last year was 2020. CARES did an excellent job. Way underfunded. Okay, way underfunded. So let's compare then to the full year 2024. Okay, so the shelter. By the way, I made this presentation to the commissioners. I guess Captain Underpants, he doesn't keep track of what's going on in actual local government because he's helping the community by arguing with buildings in the street. So the shelter is open 38% less hours now than it was previously. Okay, for 2024, this is 2024, the full year 2024 versus the last full year of CARES, which is 2020. It's only open 20.5 hours. Hey, Mr. Captain Underpants, at a shelter, it's about getting the dogs out, which means you got to be open so that people can get there and get ready to get a dog, right? If it's closed all the time, it makes it hard to get the dogs adopted. It's not a home for the dogs. It's not a jail for the dogs. It's supposed to be a pass-through where one of the most important measures is the velocity of getting the dogs through. But let's look at what's happened since 2020 to 2024. The intake of dogs is 24% less under the David Painter government-controlled shelter versus a humane society. The exits is 41% less. 41% less dogs are going out. Look at that. 1123 in 2020 versus 677 in 2024. That's pathetic. Pathetic. The taxpayer dollars spent is 2.7 times, 0.07 times more, and they have less than half the staff as they did in 2020. And I think they hide a lot of money. I think it's actually a much bigger differential as to how much money is being spent on the shelter. I think the commissioners hide it to make it try to cover up because they thought they had originally said they could do it cheaper than CARES was doing it, and now they're spending way more money. And fundraising. So humane societies do a lot of fundraising to help the community. So the Humane Society Cares did fundraising, and this last year it raised $983,000. In 2024, the county raised 36, a 96% reduction in funding. What's so funny is that even with all the extra spending by the county that's going on, the county actually spends the less money actually gets spent on the animals now than it did in 2020. Think about that in absolute dollars. Less money gets spent on the animals now because the Humane Society before was bringing in $1 million that it was spending on the animals, and now the county brings in $36,000, or that at least they did in 2024. Okay, so let's look at the last couple ones. Personnel. So in 2020 they had 21. Now they have 11. 48% reduction in personnel in the shelter. So that's another measure. Oh, and cats. Hey, I don't know if you don't like or do like cats, but they don't do cats anymore. They used to do cats. So they did 1,023 cats in 2020. They do 0 cats now because our shelter also quit doing cats. So it's just a total disaster that maybe, yeah, that somebody needs to clean the cage. And right now, people in jail, you could go get in jail and then you'd have an opportunity to clean the cages. But people can go clean the cages, but it's not but what really needs to happen is a systemic fix. I'm on the bigger picture stuff. I'm not on the cleaning the cages. Okay. It's kind of cleaning the cages is like digging a foundation with a shovel. I'm the backhoe that's going to dig the foundation quick. I'll get the equipment in so we can try to fix this mess. I would love uh, for Mr. Scales to care about this, to really care about it, and not just care about some photo op stunt at the shelter, but to care about really changing the culture of the shelter and how the shelter works. So that is kind of the shelter. I have a last chart on the shelter. 2.7 times more spending, 48% less staffing, 41% less animals, 38% less hours, 96% less fundraising, no cats. And the reality is they have no partners anymore. No humane societies will bid on working at the shelter. The only bid they got when they put it out for bid, which was such a joke bid, nobody could have bid on it, was didn't actually provide a price. It was just somebody just put something in. So that is the shelter. Okay. So I think we've covered all the issues. I welcome Mr. Smalls at some point, coming on and actually manning up. Remember, he's the one who demanded that I be on a podcast with him or on a stream with him. And then he refused to be on a stream. He just wanted to do some hatchet job catching me off guard. So let's look at the comments. Let's get the comments. So I'm going to kind of just do an order here. I might jump around a little bit, but okay, here's a comment. Do this live. Would you be interested in working together for something? I would love. See, I think one of the things that's very unfortunate about Mr. Scales, I get funny, I get his antics, I get it. Okay, I don't not get it, but he could be so much more. Okay, he could not just be pandering out in the streets. I'm not saying he needs to change completely. What I'm saying is have some serious content. Bring somebody like me on with you. Don't be willing to have a discussion live, not you yelling at a building. He could do so much more and start understanding that he's not the arbiter of what helps the community. What helps the community a lot is protecting their rights so they don't get hassled by cops, helping to provide them opportunity like 10,000 jobs at TQL so they're not dependent and they're not needing handouts. Teaching them how they can interact with government better to protect their rights and their interests. All that stuff is, you have the biblical thing, give me a fish, I'll eat for a day. Teach me to fish, I'll eat for a lifetime. Mr. Scales could do a lot more teaching. He might not be able to do it, but he could use his platform to engage people that can, rather than mocking and ridiculing quote unquote 60 to 70-year-old people where he hasn't even checked what their ages are. Maybe he should think, hey, maybe these people have something to add. Maybe there's people I could find in the community that could help me, and not just pandering politicians. Okay. So let's look at other of these things. Get a life. Okay. So that's, I love this. All these people, get a life. Okay. Um, let's see. Let's see, somebody, I haven't read these. Okay, move fucking on. It's like it's so if somebody came on this and commented to tell me to fucking move on. Okay, they can move on. I'm going to keep harping on it. I'm going to keep responding to it, and I'm going to keep bringing up that Mr. Scales is doing a disservice to the community by doing only dancing in his underwear and you're arguing with buildings. He could do more. He could do better. We have lived in Claremont County for 50 years or more. I doubt he knows very much about Claremont County. I don't think he does. I don't think Mr. Scales, he acts like, it's funny. He told me, I don't think it was in the clip, but he told me to get out, move out. Like, didn't you move in, bro? Like, how did you get here? I think he moved from Hamilton County. He talked like he was from Cincinnati or something. So that's the deal. Some of these, I got like, why don't I find a real job? I love these people that are just, frankly, Tia, you're a hillbilly. I mean, you're, is what is so I guess it's okay for Mr. Scales to be running around in his underwear and all that kind of stuff. But if anybody dare criticize him, we're just going to go off of, we're just going to go off of him. I'm glad to do a discussion. I offered him, I sent him the stream link for this call so that he could come on the stream. I'm not going to be out doing all dirty working in the yard. And then just somebody calls me, hey, this lunatic's going nuts on you on a stream. I don't know. It's like he's afraid. Literally afraid. He deletes all the stuff. I'm actually a pretty nice guy, and I offered repeatedly, let's do a face-to-face debate discussion. Let's do discussions on the 4 topics that you raised. Mr. Scales, you raised the 4 topics of the canine, the baby box, Ken Geis, and the animal shelter. Let's talk about those topics and get informed together. But he won't do it. He won't do it. And then he keeps saying he's not going to respond anymore. Here's another, this person is special. No one cares what you have to say. Here, what you have to say. Give it up, dude. You're too pressed about him. Grow up. Okay. All right. I got it, Tia. You're really impressing me. What are your views in, what does this one say? What are your views in politics? Where do you stand comparatively to, say, Trump? I'm like 10,000% Trump. If you don't realize, most of Republicans in Claremont County that are in office are not. They're rhinos. They don't care about people that much. They don't care about having the most productive government and the best government. It's like a crony system. And that's another thing. Michael Logue is an up-and-comer in the crony system. And we don't need a crony system. I know Mr. Scales talks about the new Claremont County or something. The new Claremont County has to be not a swamp Republican politics. It needs to be conservative, good politics that's rooted in helping people to be independent. So they don't need handouts. They don't need, so that they can get good jobs. We need good jobs. And by the way, nobody's created more good jobs in Claremont County than Ken Geis. And there's some other ones here. Oh, TS, just keep. This Tia person just keep coming on. Shut up. You have to know absolutely nothing. Okay, so whoever you are listening to this, would it appear that I know absolutely nothing? I know nothing. I don't know anything. Okay, that's what I'm saying is, Mr. Scales should be embarrassed to have followers that act like this. Okay, because if you look at people and you say, oh, you know nothing, you're just ranting and raving like a lunatic, you're not going to learn. You're not going to grow. And I'm betting, I don't know, maybe people that do that are multimillionaires and super successful, but I'm betting they're not. And they maybe should step back and say, maybe I could learn stuff. Maybe I need to be helped to be able to be more independent in my life. Okay. Let's see. I already put the one up about that I get the facts. I appreciated that comment. Okay. Here's somebody else. Quit crying. You're a grown man, old enough to be his grandpa. I don't know about that. He's 32. Well, I guess I am. Why are you counting and whining about this? Because I'm trying to make him better, dumbass. I'm trying to make our community better by getting the person that's running around trying to appeal to young people to think it through and not let himself be used in hatchet jobs by people that have ulterior motives. That's why I'm doing it. And if you don't like it, then don't come here. You don't need to be here. Go somewhere else. See, unlike him, I'm not worrying about the mob. I'm worrying about the right people and in the things that I do. I'm worried about getting crooked politicians out of office. I'm worried about stopping bad campaign finance. I'm worried about those kind of things. Um, let's see what this one says. I follow you for years. We actual followers appreciate what you do. Oh, I appreciate this. Okay. All the other guys want likes. I see. The funny part is Austin gets it here. I don't know Austin. I don't think I've met him, but is that I'm not about likes. I tell you what, all the people that need to watch my Facebook page already watch my Facebook page, and they're not, the same people. And my activities off my Facebook page is what is the things that is really important. Was really important. Okay. What's this one say? I don't understand old comments. Anybody can help. Bestower of knowledge. I appreciate this too. I think, unless somebody says something, says something bad. I don't know why he hated on me. All I did was pointed out that his narrative was wrong. I think I'm 100% right. I think time will show it. I think I'm very careful. Anybody that knows me, not to put out stuff that's not true. I get smeared and demonized a lot by people who don't want the truth to be known, like Signal 99 people. So let's mock him, ridicule him. Let's exaggerate his nose. Let's do whatever we can because we can't let him have a voice because he's actually telling the truth. Okay. What's this say? Hey, look at why Owensville. I don't know what this. I'll look at it. Okay. Owensville. Mike Freeman's always been good to me. But I've really got an issue with him being the police department of people that shouldn't be in police work anymore. Okay. Period. So this Jay Manning and Young, Jim Young, they should not be in police work anymore. Okay, they should move on. The dog can stay in police work. They can't. They shouldn't. Okay. So I don't have anything. I don't pay that much attention to Owensville. I live in Union Township, so I pay more attention. Um, you know, that's the so I don't know this. I think I never knew Ken Geis until I was attacked and demonized for knowing him. And I didn't know him. I didn't actually know him at the time. And that caused me to kind of get to know him for. And a funny story about Ken Geis is my first interaction with him was that I did a records request from the Union Township Police, and they wanted me to come in and pay 10 cents a page for it. By the way, this is something that Mr. Scales could educate people on. You don't have to pay, you don't have to pay. So they wanted me to pay 10 cents a page for a set of records I requested. I said, no, if you can give them to me electronically, you need to send them to me electronically, no charge. Somehow, because of me bitching about it, Ken Geis called me because he was the administrator at the time, told me, no, you have to pay for them. I'm like, you're wrong. And he told me, okay, I'm going to go check it out with our solicitor, our law advisor, and I'll get back to you. And then he called me back like an hour and a half later saying, you're right. We're wrong. We're getting you the records and we're changing the policy. And I respected that. And I tell you what, not a lot of politicians, he's not a politician because he's a administrator type person. I don't think he's ever run for any office or anything. But most of these people are not like that. And what I just brought up about when you do and don't have to pay for records, that's stuff that could be helpful to people that might follow Mr. Scales to know these things, to know when you can get it free, when you have to pay for it. Because I tell you what, if you're me and all the cops know me, and if I request stuff, they're either going to hassle me or whatever, but they know they can't fuck around with me too much. Okay. But if you're a person who doesn't interact with these people and you're not in the system, they'll fuck with you all day and all night. And I'm sure Mr. Scales knows that, but he doesn't do anything about it. And that's what I say. Helping the community isn't just handing them stuff or, whatever, getting people some groceries. That's good. I'm not against that. But helping the community is also making sure that the people who are, and I'll say this word, it's a liberal word, but marginalized in the community, that aren't respected in the community, that they know their rights, that they know how to protect their rights, that they know how to what they can and can't do, what's allowed and what not allowed. I think it's so unfortunate that so many people don't realize that they're getting abused by their own government. So I'm super conservative. I'm super Trump. I don't know what Mr. Scales is, what his politics are. I don't really care. but I'm for people being independent, not being dependent, and I'm for them knowing their rights, and I'm for people first, government second. People first, government second. And I don't want anybody to need handouts ultimately. I want people to be able to be productive people and have a good job. I appreciate the. I don't have this. Nobody has to agree with stuff I say. I joke with people saying nobody has to agree with what I say, and I can give you two examples of people that regularly don't agree with me, which is my wife and my son. So you know, so that's a you know, I'm kind of thinking you both need a life. Well, I think that's. I don't know what your life is. Um, I don't know. Just stop. I think you should just stop listening, Cassie. If we need to get a life. You need to get a life. Okay. If you don't like us, me or Mr. Scales, then get off social media. Go do something more productive in social media. But I think that we're both. I'm not taking away that I think that Mr. Scales' heart is in the right place. That he wants to help the community. I don't think he knows how to. I don't think he knows how to beyond the basic things. And I think he's a little too fixated on followers and likes, and that can get in the way of actually helping the community. Yeah, but I think people like us should keep trucking. So keep trucking. It takes all kinds. Um, uh, so change Claremont, which is Bill Thomas, who was my number one hater. It's so funny when people say like, "Oh, he's never had so much attention on his Facebook page." Sorry, wrong. So back in the 2018, 19, 20 period, it would just light up. It's always been. If you go back, my Facebook page, if you search on it, is kind of a Wikipedia of Claremont County political history. Since I got involved in I think it started about 2017 or something like that. And you can see different issues that come up over time: school levies, speed cameras. By the way, another way that people get abused by government: speed cameras. That was a probably way bigger deal than this stuff that's going on now. Is getting speed cameras out of New Richmond. They're just to exploit people. They are just to exploit people. Mr. Thomas keeps asking me about Bill Muse. I have comments on Bill Muse. I think I'd like to. I think Bill Muse needs to open his mind. I think Bill Muse needs to quit drinking the Kool-Aid of the insider Linda Fraley crowd and realize that those people are only about themselves. All right. I don't know about Mr. Scales moving on. So he keeps saying he's moving on, but he comments like crazy. And let's be clear, I'll move on when I want to move on, not when anybody else tells me to move on, especially not Mr. Scales. Okay. Mr. Scales has said 100 times he's moving on, but he keeps commenting. Because I don't know, I could help him with some maturity maybe on how to deal with these kind of things. Okay. Um, so, so Bill Thomas says, I sound like a libtard spouting fake news. Okay, Bill, we're going to go back the way it was. Okay. You're shit and I'm shit and let's go at it. Okay. So I think that's a sarcastic comment out there. Okay. Yeah, or it was directed at somebody in the chat, not me personally. So, any event, I think I hit most all the comments. If I didn't hit yours, I tried to hit all of them as best I could. Hey, I want to thank people for tuning in. Hopefully, this has been some insight and you learn a little bit about baby boxes. You learn a little bit about Ken Geis and some of the contributions he's made, like 10,000 jobs at TQL, because of his innovation and getting something like that there. You learned a lot about the canine and the true story about the canine, not the Signal 99 false rant. And you learned about the other crises in Batavia Village Police that should be the most concerning. Is I think they're trying to rebuild their police force or trying to get it better. But you had a person there, Jim Young, who was not a good cop, should not be in police force policing anymore. And he shouldn't be in Owensville. Owensville right now is if I was in Owensville, I would consider it unacceptable that village has become the place for damaged, flawed cops that are part of running anonymous Facebook smear pages, as well as we're involved in situations that are completely unacceptable, involving misogynistic behavior both towards the public and towards other officers and their spouses. So I think that's it. You learned it. Maybe I said this. I don't want to be redundant, but the shelter. Last thing I want to say about Mr. Scales. Okay. Give him a lot of shit. Okay. And I think he deserves it on this issue. If at any point in time he wants to cool down, call me. Okay. Text me, message me. Don't send me a message thing. I'm easy to get in touch with. I'm very easy to get in touch with. And I think I can help him. Maybe he can help me. We'll see. But, maybe part of it is he has to admit that he made a mistake on this story. And if he's going to be news, then he has to take accountability for his news reporting. We don't need more hack hillbilly news reports that are wrong. We need stuff that's true. And if the people were exploiting him as a useful idiot to spout off a bunch of nonsense in front of the building without having the full facts, then he should just admit that and he should get more reliable sources. I think he has a place. I appreciate that he, based on what I understand, does try to do things. I'm never going to be a fan of the running around in your underwear when you're a 32-year-old man. I just don't think that's, a thing. But to each his own. To each his own. I was never a fan of the Jackass movies, but I understand a lot of people really liked them, and no harm, no foul. Nothing's wrong with that. People having different likes in comedy, but if you're going to be news and you're going to report on stuff, then you have an obligation to get it right. If you're going to bring up topics like the baby box, Ken Geis, the animal shelter, and the canine thing, you need to be willing to discuss those. Uh, and you need to accept that you're not the sole arbiter on what is helping the community. There's people doing things every day, Mr. Scales, that are helping this community. From people that are working, people building bridges, people paving roads, people working at TQL, people providing for their families. You ain't the arbiter of what it means to be helping the community. And you send me a picture once you've done the training, okay? Where then, by the way, this would be great because you're not allowed to have cameras with you when you're in the shelter, when you're a volunteer in the shelter, no cameras. So, Mr. Scales, show me that you can do something that you said you wanted to do, clean the cages at the shelter, go through the volunteer program, become a volunteer, and then adhere to their no camera policy. Take a picture of yourself out front, as you're coming or going. So we know that you do things for the community that don't involve just wanting to get more likes and follows and where you need to have a camera with you. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully this was helpful.